Audience feedback has helped our group create a clear path throughout our work. Through our line of research, we investigated all aspects to cover a range of different audiences. We needed to find our genre-specific audience so we could hit the right target market, giving the audience exactly what they're looking for. We used a variety of different techniques other than just Bearcart surveys, including interviews, social interaction, web-based research into genre-specific websites, questionnaires, and even more. The information we gained contributed to our representation of the audience we were targeting. Further is how this contributed to our production process. Through looking into these different audiences, helped us map our ideas and about how the magazine would appear than we had originally initiated in the first place. The surveys of looking into magazine conventions revealed that audiences taste gradually asking a range of questions to cover all the aspects we were looking for. The way the audience explained their passions and criticisms about existing or fantasy magazines helped us use this to create the magazine either matching the existing conventions mixed with the fantasy. The questions involving the magazine reflected a number of similar conventions that people felt that they needed: a large masthead, puffs to create eye-catching attention, and they continued by saying that using large fonts spreads a wider audience, those older and younger, as older people, due to sight difficulties, may not be able to read the font as easily, giving this another advantage. This is something we could easily use, developing a wide audience range, but we needed something a little bit more specific. Through the number of different ways we asked the questions regarding the age range, we discovered that the film magazines are usually read by age blocks of 16 to 24 and 25 to 33, but mostly read by the age range of 16 to 24 years age group. This clearly stated that magazines are needed to be clearly modern and fully up to date. Furthermore, within the survey we investigated genre, certification, regularity, freebies, posters, and news. The audience's participation within the survey answered our questions in a very detailed, but not necessarily that specific. We came to the conclusion to place our drafts and existing magazines in an individual interview to receive a personal viewpoint, giving us even more feedback. Doing this gave us copious amounts of feedback. We discussed in detail the specific points from the masthead, font, puffs, main image, colour, cost, regularity, and genre. We discovered that the audience liked a wide change of film magazines that are broad, but they would prefer regular, genre-specific, and preferably horror. They individually continued to mention the main image and the mid-shot portrait viewpoint, as this was symbolic and the best form of grabbing their attention. This was similarly portrayed by the regard for the masthead and puffs, with using juxtaposing colours and fonts to fully engage the audience's preferences. The audience's feedback was immensely important to the production of the magazine. Without the details of specific points, the issues with existing magazines, we wouldn't be able to establish the magazine that reflected such positive feedback. The amount of detail received by the audience helped us pinpoint the issues such as puffs and masthead. Without these eye-catching titles of the magazine would not capture the audience. We felt that with the use of the surveys, individual interviews, social interaction, and web-based blog conversations topics, we wouldn't have been able to collect the vast amounts of information we currently have. Through the audience feedback, we made a number of important changes within our film magazine. The audience's opinions helped us recreate a better magazine. Editing, adapting, and originally had been established in our group. We changed a number of different aspects according to the audience feedback, and would redraft and continue feedback to receive the best possible adaptations to the magazine front cover. We felt the continuous audience feedback was essential in creating the best quality version our group has to offer towards the magazine. The main changes were towards the main image. The main image is the most specific part of the magazine in our group's opinion. As the magazine was genre-specific horror special, the picture needs to be groundbreaking to create a lasting impression on the magazine's reputation. Through the number of methods of research we applied, we collected details of information regarding the main image. To the audience, the main image was most powerful when a mid-shot portrait was used. They felt this created a more symbolic effect on the magazine's front cover due to the difference between other magazines. They discussed with us further that they needed to be individual and not conventional, as most magazines, they wanted the main image to strike out as different. Our group took the information on board and came up with pictures using from one of our cameras. The images were taken in very genre-specific and using all makeup, fake blood to create bruising and a horror-like effect. This may have been conventional, but we used Photoshop editing to continue to make the main image a little bit more unique. We continued to cut and edit a number of different photos, edited in a number of different ways before producing them to the audience for a more continued feedback. The feedback again was positive, as we discussed which was one they thought was more powerful. After a vote and discussing with the rest of the group, we chose an image and continued touching up with the editing. The changes made with the image was due to audience feedback fully. The audience helped our group create a more specified main image that would make our magazine. Although we conducted a number of different changes, we felt this was one of the most important, as the image is the first thing that grabs you. Without the audience feedback, I doubt the changes would have been made in so much depth. We made a number of other changes due to audience feedback, mostly the colours and font. A large part of the audience contributed what they disliked about magazines with too much colour. We continued to find out why they didn't and proceeded to explain that it can be overbearing and most likely tacky simple. We decided to use symbolic, bold colours that complement each other and are much more appealing to the eye. In conclusion, we found out that there can be such a thing as too much colour. We discussed this problem through looking at past and present magazine covers. Bold and symbolic colours seemed to the clear choice and the way to go. The font was another separate issue. It seemed that the fonts were too crammed together or small, and we came up with a number of different ways to fix this problem, discussing in our group which fonts should be smaller and which ones should be larger. Nevertheless, we came to a decision: the masthead must be large, eye-catching, and the fuss cannot take over the main image. We felt this compromised well enough.